Welcome to Wired for Wealth, the podcast for ambitious people with a wild side. If you feel there's way more to your vision for success than just the money, and you want to create a life of financial freedom and fulfillment where joy comes first, then you're in the right place. I'm Abby Rogers, therapist, mentor, and expert on all things mindset, subconscious, and manifestation. And I'm here to help you create anxiety-free, stress-free freedom and wealth that aligns with your soul. Let's dive in. Really delighted to have with me this morning the lovely Trudy Simmons from the Daisy Chain Group. Trudy, just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit more about you and about what you do at the moment. It'd be really good.
Well, thank you, Abby. I have realised actually that I've had my business, the Daisy Chain Group, for 14 years in today.
Mm-hmm.
So today is my business birthday. 14 years today I've had my birthday. I started it in Australia and then moved back over to the UK, and I've had it in the UK for the last 7 years and had it in Australia for 7 years before that. I can count. And the whole purpose of me setting this up and doing what I do, and I've even been back to my notes of when I first started the business, because I do that sometimes just to remind myself, and it is always the same. I want to create the platforms for businesswomen to be seen and heard.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done that through, I've held networking events for 14 years in lots of different guises and lots of different ways, so that people can have safe spaces to be able to talk about what they do and why they do it. I've run conferences. I wrote 6 books in a year, with each chapter being a different businesswoman telling their story. And that was amazing to do that.
Wow.
I've done podcasts as platforms. I'm a business mentor to help people to get out of their own heads and move forward. But the main thing is creating the events, the situations, the environments where businesswomen can be seen and heard, where they feel like it's not just walking into a room and telling people what you do, that there is conversation around it, engagement, and connection. It's all about connection.
Fabulous. I love that. And we do need a platform, don't we? It's just to be heard, to be seen, but also to allow others to hear our stories and to be inspired by them as well, which is why we're doing this today as well, to lend a little inspiration, and share the real truth of the journey, because our journeys aren't always so straightforward and shiny and marvelous as is often portrayed in the wonderful world of social media. So it's about sharing the sticky stuff as well and the tricky stuff, and we're definitely going to dive into some of that today. That's wonderful. So happy business birthday, first of all.
Thank you. Cake all round.
Absolutely. I'm using that as an excuse and sticking with it. Going to run with that one later today. So tell us about where you started out and what it's kind of taken to get to where you are now, because obviously you've achieved so much and done some wonderful things there. I'm guessing that wasn't like the version of you that you are where you are at the moment, as it were.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting things especially the beginning, is that I was in corporate from the age of young, 17, 18, straight into corporate. So one of the things that I had to realize when I left corporate was that the things that I had to unlearn, and in that process of unlearning, it was a massive growth spurt for myself of who I had to be, who I was told I was, who I was pigeonholed as being in that environment. And then that feeling of, oh my goodness, I can actually be anyone that I want to be, but I can actually be the whole of myself. And nobody tells you that, and nobody shows you or gives you that ability to suddenly think, I don't have to be anyone to anyone. Anything to anyone. I can just be myself. And when I started doing that, I found a massive relief in myself, and I found I was going to say a massive audience. I didn't find a massive audience, but I found an audience of people that were being drawn to me as me. And that was fascinating to me, because I had always been told that I had to be the good girl, had to be quiet, I was too much, I was too loud, I was too overexcitable, whatever. And getting told all those things over the years that we get told those things, it creates a picture and a way of behavior. And I deliberately and carefully unpicked all of that to be this now.
To be the real you, to just unleash the real you. Yeah. It's so massive that like all our lives we're told you have to look a certain way, you have to behave a certain way, socialize a certain way. You've got to be professional, you've got to have this professional face on. And then when we get into the world of business, often as well, we're put into little boxes, or it's like you've got to niche, you've got to be very specific, only talk to this person. And I found exactly the same. It can be so restrictive, and you feel like you're holding bits of yourself back. And it's all of a sudden when you have that realization, I can be all of me. And when people start to reaffirm that, it's like, wow, this is fantastic.
And it was, and actually now you've said that, it was, I did that when I left corporate. And then when I moved from Australia back over to the UK, I was told so many times, we've not seen anything like you before. And I started really questioning myself, because I'm from the UK. I grew up here. I went over to Australia. I was there for 17 years. And I was kind of at the start of what became these big online businesses in the coaching world, because Australia and America at that stage were about 5 years ahead of what was happening in the UK. So I came over here and I was holding networking events. And on the first one, I had 4 people come along. And within 3 months, I had 45 businesswomen in a tiny cafe. And because they just kept saying, we haven't been able to be this before. We haven't seen someone like you that just says, tell us about your business. I want to listen. I want to hear. I want to learn from you. And they'd always been taking their business cards, taking their leaflets, passing them out, putting them on tables. And that was the way that networking, that's the way that they had seen networking being done. And I would run around in a reindeer onesie in the snow and teach them about, building confidence and focusing and direction and clarity. And they're like, what is this? That's me. I'm all of this.
Whole new level. It's so much better. It's so much better. So nice to be free, isn't it? Not to have to like hand out business cards and be a stuffy suit in a corner. That's really, really empowering. Awesome. So you mentioned in our notes in our kind of chat pre going live that you feel like you're now version 4.0 and previously it was 1.0. So what do you think is different about 4.0 from 1.0? Where were you in those initial stages?
I think that I've been through an incredible experience and difference in the last 3 years of I've got into a new relationship. He's got a daughter. I'm going through perimenopause. Didn't know anything about that. I mean, this last 3 years has been revolutionary, thank goodness, and what the information that's out there now. But I didn't know what was happening. I just felt like I was losing myself completely. And my whole personality changed. I just had nothing in the tank. I couldn't find any motivation. I couldn't find any energy to be able to do the things that I love doing. And it was just awful. So I say that 1.0 was the beginning, 2.0 is so last year, and 4.0 is now, because I've sorted it all out. And I've got this wonderful relationship. We got engaged on New Year's Eve, and we've got a really happy environment where he has his own business, I have my own business. We support each other in that. We're very much a team. I've never experienced anything like this before. And it is really special and something that we cherish a lot, that we are very supportive of each other and of his daughter at 13, which she is now, and watching her go through, teenage years, and watching what that's done to my business and for my business. So this 4.0 is very much last year. You'll laugh, Abby. Last year, I decided in February that I was going to put on a massive extravaganza. I used to run the Spectacular Business Symposium. And I was going to do it as a massive extravaganza, take over the Birmingham NEC, have 50 exhibitors, 50 speakers, networking events all over the place, different spaces. And somebody said to me, this was in February, They said, when are you going to do this? And I said, September. They said, you can't do that. And the minute I'm told something like that, or you're crazy, because I'm the crazy Daisy, I think, right, I'm going to do it then. But with my 4.0, yeah, but with my 4.0 head on, I suddenly realized, no, I can't do that anymore. I would have done that before, and I would have got it done, and it would have been everything that I wanted it to be. But I don't have it in me in the same way. I'm now, running a house in a different way, looking after a child that I didn't have to have any kind of responsibility for before, running my business in a very different way, and trying in all of that to look after myself in a very different way, because without doing that, without realizing that I can't do what I used to do in the right way, that I'm just depleting myself. I'm doing the damage to myself.
Yeah.
So I just let it go. And it's not even a dream anymore of, I really want to do that, I'll do it one day. It's gone. Just let it go. It's too big for what I can deal with today, this year.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah. That's really, really refreshing. And that must have been such a big wake up call as well, to say it's actually okay not to be the person that has to prove the thing all the time, not to be the person that has to do the thing through, but to say, well, what am I going to do that's best for me and is going to support everything else that I'm creating? Because so many of us, I think, get into these cycles of just push, and I've got to do the big thing and the next big idea and the next big idea, and that's wonderful, but you've also got to really support it from the foundations, and you've got to kind of take into account everything else that's happening in life as well. And you might have got there, but you may have kind of crashed and burned along the way. And
I absolutely would have done.
It was the catalyst for many other wonderful things, I should think.
Yes, always. I think letting go and making space can really help to find creativity, to be able to see more clearly. My whole business, my whole thinking, everything that I've ever done in corporate through my whole life is clarity, direction, and focus. That's how I help other people. That's what I do for myself. And I'm not somebody that can tell you to go and find clarity, direction, and focus when I don't have it. So I have to have it in everything that I'm doing. And when I become clear, so last year I was running online networking, and I was doing something like 4 or 5 events a month. And I'd loved them through COVID, and then I just fell out of love with them. So February last year, I decided on a Friday I'd fallen out of love with it, and I cancelled it on the Monday. Done. I don't muck around. I don't. There's no point in pursuing something that is taking your energy, and actually it was making me feel resentful of the time. And the people that I speak to about that, I completely understand it. And so I just let it go and I move on.
It's massive. It's like the thing you have to do to keep moving forward, isn't it? But I think so many of us in the world of entrepreneurship hang on to things, and we're like, I can't let all the people down, and I'm going to feel so bad if I don't keep this thing going. And does it mean this about me? Does it mean I'm a failure? Does it mean I'm somebody who never completes things? Doesn't mean any of that. It just means you've got your eye on what is the right thing and the next thing for you, and you've cast away the driftwood, the stuff that's not working anymore. And that is the cycle of entrepreneurship, isn't it? You've got to
and it's what you've just said, it's that you're doing it for you. And what we sometimes get stuck in is we've got these clients, we've got these people, what do they need from us? No, what do you want? What do you want? Stick with that. Because if we do what everybody else wants us to do all the time, we've all done that, people pleasing, then that's when we get depleted of energy. So I always, and I don't even think it's selfish, honestly, I always come back to, do I love this? No. Well, then I'm not going to put all my energy into it. I'm not going to be coming across them the right way. Cancelled. Done. I cancelled it.
Cancel culture.
But
it's not selfish. You're absolutely spot on there, because when you're just pouring your energy into things that are feeling depleting and frustrating, and you're secretly resenting it, you're not showing up in the right way, in the way that's going to be best for the people that you are serving. So better to go at things with your 100% loving this energy and put all of that into it, then can't really be asked.
No.
Anyway, love it. Love it. So what's been your biggest inner stumbling block? Has it been, it sounds like people pleasing, maybe not, but what else would you say has got in the way?
Oh no, it's definitely people pleasing. That's why I know so much about it. I think my biggest inner stumbling block would be boundaries. I do talk to other people about where they get stuck with boundaries and how important they are, but I find them very difficult when it comes to what's needed for home life, what's needed for family. Not with business. Business boundaries I'm pretty good with, but outside of that, and then when that takes from what I can achieve and what I can do in my business, that doesn't mean as much to me. And I don't actually know if that's right or wrong. It doesn't feel really wrong because I feel like I'm doing the right thing at the time. But then I did, looking back on the last few years and what I have given up, what I have changed, what I have got rid of. There are consequences for not having the boundaries that serve us. But I don't know that I would change that about me. I don't know that I would think that that's a really bad thing. I do recognize when I've done it, and doesn't mean that I would change it.
We're all humans, aren't we, at the end of the day? We all have these things. We're a little bit fallible here and there, and it is part of our lovely, unique makeup. And we can keep moving forward. We can keep questioning ourselves and saying, is this really helpful? Is it what I need right now? Is it serving me? But also, like, I can't try and be this superhuman thing, because that's just putting too much pressure on myself as well.
I run a mastermind day where we get together, just 10 of us get together around a table and talk about what challenges we're going through. And yesterday I had one of these days, and somebody was talking about boundaries and how difficult they find it, and you've got 10 people that want to help and support and care about each other. And so she's saying about the boundaries, and everybody's saying, well, what do you need to look at, and how are you going to change this, and what do you need to do better? And I'm literally just swinging around in my chair because I'm thinking, don't ask me, because I feel, because I've got lots of advice, Abby. Oh, lots of advice. But I'm the first one to say, I'm not going to do it myself, but this is what you should do.
Yeah, very easy to dish it out, isn't it? But we can't keep it back ourselves. Absolutely. So what kind of motivates you? What's your biggest inspiration? What's the thing that keeps you going and keeps you surging forward with all these wonderful projects?
I think it's definitely people. And what I have realized again in the last few years is being around the right people. People that are big thinkers, that want to think expansively, that want to be able to think outside the box, that don't want to get stuck into the negatives that are all around us, that we can get stuck into all the time, of what's going on in the world and what's going on in the economy. And we're our own businesses. We can do what the hell we want. And I want to be around people that realize that and go, crikey, I need to create some more income. I need to create some more products and services because I work hard to do that. I deserve the income, and I want to be able to serve my community, serve my family better. Brilliant. What should we do? And then we go and get it done. So I think that really motivates me when I see people taking action on the little things and the big things in that as well. And I think I've realized for myself that going to networking events, I hold networking events, going to other people's networking events, and being around the people that are wanting to think in that way gives me a lot of not feeling like I'm crazy in this world, because it did feel for a couple of years there, especially when it was very doom and gloom around COVID and things, that big thinking just couldn't happen because we couldn't get out. I felt very trapped in the end. And I don't want to ever feel like that again. It does nothing to me or for me to help and benefit other people if I am not in my power of, let's do this. Let's get out there and be the biggest that we can be and do everything that we want to do. I want to be that person. And to be that person, I need to be around other people that think like that. And that's what I have very much created in the last year, is being around a lot more people that think like that.
Yeah. That's interesting, isn't it? When something kicks off in the world that is kind of big and kind of sits heavily on everybody's shoulders. Often we feel like we've got to kind of bow to this and just keep ourselves small and hidden, but we don't help anybody by doing that, by just like giving into it and not shining our light in the world. We're kind of letting down the people that we could be helping, and we could be motivating and inspiring to feel a lot better and to overcome this thing. And I think the reality is like, shit happens. But it does.
I did these 6 books in a year. I didn't realize I was going to do 6 books. I started doing one book. It got I called it Shine On You Crazy Daisy, and because everybody calls me the Crazy Daisy. I ended up doing 6 because so many businesswomen, so I had 170 authors, I think, because each one was a different person's chapter. And people just kept coming to me and saying, can you share my story? Can you share my story? Yep. And these 6 books, the best thing about doing them, each chapter had a podcast interview, which I absolutely love doing, sitting and listening, really listening to these beautiful stories of what people go through, the tenacity, the resilience that we all go through to have our own businesses. Yeah. But one of the best things that happened was I had 3 parents of the businesswomen contact me completely separately through the 6 books and saying, I didn't know about my daughter. Thank you for sharing her story. I'm so proud of what she's accomplished. I didn't realize it had taken that. And you just don't know when you share your story who you can affect.
Yeah.
And in doing that, what the ripple effect is in getting your story out there. So yeah, it's really important to be able to do that.
Huge, isn't it? Speaking of which, we talked earlier about sticky moments and about how it's not always a straightforward and easy journey. What have been your big sticky moments? Where have you found that you've had to really kind of dig deep and keep going?
Wow. I think there's probably been 3. So when I left Australia and moved back over here, I didn't know I was moving back over here. I came back over here, went and saw my grandma, and she was sick and she was 82, and I thought somebody needs to look after her. So I literally packed up everything and moved back over here. But I did that. I was able to do that because I was totally burned out from what I was doing, the way that I was doing things. I had just run an in-person conference and I had lost around $50,000 because I was just I just wanted what I wanted, and I was a bulldozer. And I would like to say that I've learned a lot from that. I did. I learned a hell of a lot from that, but it was devastating. And the weird thing was, it was devastating, but it was also one of my biggest moments, standing on that stage with the people that are paid to be there for 3 days in this incredible location. And I did a lip sync battle to Beyonce. So it wasn't just business. It was crazy. What do you know? I had a wig and everything. We did a dance. That's how I do things. Everything's got to be silly. So when I left Australia and came back over here, I had come back to do nothing, to go back into a corporate job, to not have my business. And so I very much had to dig deep and question what I wanted at that stage. And that was when I set up this one little networking event, and 4 people turned up, and I thought, I've made it. Come on, I'm going to take over the UK. Dramatic. So that did propel me back into feeling like I was back. I wanted my business back. So that was good. But that was a very difficult year of working at what and how to help my grandma in the best way, moving countries and not knowing what to do with my business. That was hard. A few years ago, I had someone try and take 50% of my business. Ooh. And it was one of the hardest things I have ever been through, because I was so manipulated, and I felt so stupid and gullible and naive. And ordinarily, I love the word naive being applied to me because I love my naivety. I like fairies and unicorns and fairy dust. So to feel that way in a business sense, it was absolutely devastating. Yeah. And it took me a lot to come back from that. And then we had a court case with my partner, which was divorce and stuff. You know, these things go on, but it took a lot from us, but it brought us close together, and it affected my business massively. So I think in those, all of that is in the last 7 years. The first 7 years was a dream. It is realizing at all times that what you are going through, that everybody's going through something, and that it has to come from a place of kindness, how you approach other people. And even in the awful naive situation that I walked into, I still left there wishing kindness, and I still left what was going on, and I literally cut it off and thought, right, this is the date that the paperwork's been signed, I'm done. The next day I'm on to the next. And I went away for a week. I sat on a beach and I just started writing. And the first thing that I wrote down was, what do I want to be known for? Because I could be anything again.
Yeah.
So I just started there, and I realized that everything that I wrote down was exactly what I'd written down when I started my business. So I didn't realize that till I came back and I looked at everything, but it's always been the same. This is what I want. Platforms for business women to be seen and heard.
Yeah, amazing. I love that. But life just happens, doesn't it? And I think we often imagine that businesses are these kind of machines, and we'll keep going forward and we'll keep going forward, and then one day it'll be a success and we'll get there and it'll all be fine. But very often it's like, success isn't this end point. It's about just kind of keeping going and navigating those ups and downs, and when stuff hits the fan, just being able to keep on sailing or come back and regroup as you did. And that in itself takes a lot of humility, I think, sometimes, to step back from the brink and say, like let's just check in, what's going on here, let's make sure it's okay. Was there ever a moment where you kind of thought, I'm not sure I can do this anymore?
And it's knowing, I love that you say humility. It really is looking at things and thinking, this is what I did wrong in this, and I accept that. And in accepting that, you can fail, what do they call it? Fail forward. I mean, I don't mind failing in anything. I've tried so many. I'm a massive risk taker, so I will try lots of different ways of doing things. But I do fail forward. As soon as I'm done with it, I move on. And I have been told that it's a clever trait that I have of, I don't dwell, I don't hold on to anything, I don't hold grudges. I just get on with things. Stop that thing, it's not working, move forward, whether it's with relationships, people, business, anything. I just stop and move on. And I think that has served me very well in not wasting time, energy, and that feeling that's in your gut of the anger that can start going around. I don't have any of that. I just let it all go, and I've moved on.
Nice. Has that always been you, or is that something you've learned over the years, do you think?
No, it's something I very much learned the hard way, and learned how the bitterness affects, and learned how the anger can affect you. It doesn't affect anybody else, and watched what it can do to other people. Years and years of counseling, you know, and then I've learned it as a behavior that serves me well, because I don't understand the level of hate and bitterness that some people have towards situations when you can just let it go and move on and be happy. That's all I want. I just want a simple little life.
Exactly. You can't fix the past, can you, by dwelling on it and going over it and over it, and it's just this huge drain of resources, basically. And being able to let it go is just so liberating. I love that. Do you have any other lessons you would give anybody else who's on a similar path? Anything else that along the way has really served you?
Well, I think that the thing that I do in my business and for myself is this clarity, direction, and focus. That's my formula. And I honestly do think that when you are clear on what you want, and I think that especially with business women, it is one of the hardest questions we can ask ourselves is, what do you want? Because we know what we think we have to do, or we should do, or we can do. What do you want? So get clear on that, work out what the direction is, and don't stay in your own lane. Don't let other things get in your way. Don't let what somebody else is doing affect how you're reacting. Get in your lane, find your direction, and then focus on that thing at the end. What is that you're aiming for, and get it done. Boom.
Boom. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it comes back to that good girl thing again, doesn't it? It's like we're not very good at specifying what we want because we're so conditioned to put everybody else first and everything else first, and we're like right at the bottom of the pile. Also to flip that around and to start saying, no, actually, if I'm going to make this thing that I want to make, if I'm going to be this person I want to be, I've got to transition through that, and I've got to get to a place where I can damn well put me first. My priorities. And
be happy.
Yeah.
If you're happy, everything else fits into place. I promise you. It is the holy grail of getting to that place where I love what I do. If I don't love it, I let it go. And my sole being of all of this is, are the people around me happy? Can I help anybody else because I'm good? So I make sure to the best of my ability that I'm good. And if I'm not good, I retreat. And that's fine with me. I have not been visible for the last year. I haven't had it in me. I'm back. Watch out.
Back with a vengeance. Love it. So where would you love to be headed next? What's next on the radar for you? More visible?
What's next on the radar? I've got a couple of big things that I want to change this year. I want to do more in-person things. I do in-person networking now, thank goodness. That feels a lot better. But I'm going to run a lot more mastermind days this year. I want to get really intimate. Rude. I want to get have those bigger conversations because there's trust in the room. That matters a lot to me. And I want to do a retreat with a difference. And this has been in my head for the last year, but this year it's got to happen.
Okay.
So it's going to be different. I don't do things the same. So I'm looking forward to getting that out there and working out what we're allowed to do from an insurance way. No. What? I want to. It can happen this year because once I think of something, I get very productive in getting it done. But I want this. I wanted this last year, so I want it this year. It's going to happen. So look out.
Ooh, love it. Excited to see where this goes. Oh, thank you so much. It's been really, really wonderful and interesting to find out about your journey. And lots of great insights there, which I think everybody watching this and listening to this will find super helpful. So thank you so much. Where can we find out more about you?
thedaisychaingroup.com.
Easy as.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. Love it.
Thank you so much, Abby. It's been really lovely to have a chat.
Yeah, thank you. No worries at all. And see you soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.